there she is. That oh so painful, familiar, and yet oddly comforting feeling. You know what I'm talking about. Say it with me, folks. Bears football! Oh my God. I'm almost at a complete and total loss for this game. What else am I supposed to say other than Bears football? As a general rule, when your stars of the game are the running back, the defense, and the punter, you know what you've got in your hands, folks. Bears football! I mean it. What the hell? You know, if the Hail Mary doesn't happen, I damn near would have the same reaction. It's almost like this reaction in this moment of time is independent of whether the Bears win this game or they lose this game, independent of what happens with the Hail Mary. They let the Commanders fucking win the game. Just so many things right now. Just have me at a damn near loss. Like, here's this big matchup. It's going to be number 1 versus number 2 overall pick. The Commanders with Cliff Kingsbury as the offensive coordinator. They do things to put Jayden Daniels in good positions, in good spots, in good throwing situations. The Chicago Bears under the Wizard Waldron do the exact opposite with Caleb Williams. The Washington Commanders offensive line can at least put up some type of protection a good portion of the time. And then you've got the Bears offensive line. You know it's bad when you have him go down the pipeline to play Amagaji at left tackle. You know it's bad when you got Doug Kramer playing tick on the interior of your offensive line. Oh, there's a name right there. We'll talk more about that in a minute, won't we? Fucking A. Yeah, I sat there and tweeted at one point in time during the game that this Lovie Smith defense is doing their part, but Rex Grossman needs to stop sucking soon. I mean, this looked like 2005, 2006. Bears football, did it not? Because it was quite clear the Commanders were the infinitely superior team for the majority of this game. How the fuck do the Bears and this dumb dick coaching staff have 2 weeks to prepare for this matchup and come out and lay that fucking egg? How does that happen? How is that even possible? Like, I realize Matt Eberflus isn't the average coach. He is below average. But even Matt Eberflus should be able to add up that 2 weeks means more time to prepare, means even he should be able to keep up with the mean and at least put out a halfway decent coaching performance. Nah! Shit happens in the NFL, folks. Sometimes you win games you're not supposed to win and you didn't deserve to win. And sometimes you lose games that you shouldn't have lost. Although you could argue the Bears certainly deserved to lose this one. This was just really bad. It's bad because Caleb Williams was bad today. When you wanted him to go toe-to-toe with Jayden Daniels, whether it was his inaccuracy, the pressure he had in his face, the stupid fucking play calling and route concepts, it was a bad day at the office overall for Caleb Williams. Although, if you want the positive part, you say, hey, in the fourth quarter, he stepped it up and he played a whole lot better. However, when you look at the final stat line, 10 of 24 for 131 yards with a fumble lost on 10 carries for 41 yards. Pretty much sums up the story. He had a bad day at the office. He faced at least an average defense, and he sucked. And this Bears passing game fucking sucked until the fourth quarter. Sure, DeAndre Swift breaking that run off in the fourth quarter, like, hey, after that early season suckfest he put up, he's come to play the past few weeks, and credit to him. But oh my, imagine that, running the ball, playing defense, keeping the other team out of the end zone until it fucking matters! And having a punter that can flip the goddamn field position sure sounds an awful lot like Bears football today! Like, you're sitting there watching this game, and you're saying to yourself, on the one hand, the Bears have no shot here. But on the other hand, the Commanders keep letting the Bears hang around. And then when Swift does break off the 56-yard touchdown run, into Amagaje's credit on the left side, he got out there and had a couple nice blocks that helped spring Swift. All of a sudden, you sit there and you say, this is a 12-7 game. Excuse me. The Bears actually have a shot here. This is stupid. There's no reason for this. I'll tell you what there was no reason for. You finally are moving the ball offensively. You get into freaking the 1-yard line. Instead of running with Roschon Johnson, who is good in goal line situations, instead of putting it in your young quarterback's hands and throwing to somebody like a DJ Moore, or Keenan Allen, a Rome Odunze, a Cole Kmet, you're going to run a fullback dive with Doug Kramer! Like, if we want to point to shit about why the Bears lost today's game, everybody's going to point to the fucking Hail Mary. But to me, there are two seminal moments here. One is that fucking abomination of a play call. What the bluest of blue fucks were they thinking? The Wizard Waldron, whippity-whoppity woo. Like, that was critical. The Bears are lucky they ever got it back into position late in the game to score the touchdown when they did finally get to the one and they ran it with Roschon after the pass interference penalty on fourth down. Like, great veteran move by Keenan Allen being able to draw that. But my God, that play was huge. And then, after the Bears scored the touchdown, the great shovel pass concept to Cole Kmet on the 2-point conversion, all of a sudden you're looking at it and you're saying, okay, this is 15-12. The Bears are up by 3. Washington only has 1 timeout. The Bears didn't even use any of their timeouts. They did a pretty good job of running this clock down. Like, the absolute worst that should be able to happen here is Washington hits a big play down the field and they get into field goal range and they either make the kick and go to overtime or they miss the kick and you still win, right? Like, that's the worst possible outcome here, right? No, of course not. Because Bears football! As much as everybody's going to point to the Hail Mary, as much as people are going to point to the missed holding call by the offensive line on that play, which it was there, but you know what? Don't be typical Bears fans. Stop bitching about the refs. You're right. It should have been called. It was fucking egregious, but shit happens. Those kind of calls get missed all the time. And frankly, the pressure's there on the referees to make that call, and a lot of times they don't want to, even though maybe they should, right? The reality is you can't let the fucking guy stand unevaded in the end zone by himself, so if the ball gets tipped to him, it just drops right in the fucking breadbasket. Who drew that play up, I wonder? But you could point to that, and you missed the bigger point here. The Bears have 3 timeouts for their defense. The Commanders are at about the 35-yard line. Call a timeout. Know what the fuck you're doing. Instead, the Bears run this prevent where they've sent everybody 60 yards down the field instead of putting anybody up close when the Commanders don't have a fucking timeout, knowing The biggest problem in that moment is not Jayden Daniels throwing the ball 70 plus yards down the field right there for a Hail Mary to try and win it. It's the Commanders picking up 15 yards or so and hurrying up and getting out of bounds so they can then have a Hail Mary play where Jayden Daniels only maybe needs to throw it 50 or 55 yards. Like, good defensive minds, good head coaches understand what the Commanders' objective would be on that second to last play and would do something to try and mix up that timing and stop it from happening. Matt Eberflus couldn't calculate that right and just let him pick up that extra 15 fucking yards. And because of coaching malfeasance and flat out fucking stupidity, the Bears should have been able to sneak this game out when they had no business of fucking winning it. And instead they lose it because at the end of the day, I guess the football gods deem there's justice. They said, we can't let this fucking no brain having straw in his head scarecrow motherfucker win this one because he doesn't deserve it. And you're goddamn right, he didn't deserve it. And then on that last play, even when you want to talk about the holding, whatever, don't rush 3. Because clearly you got 7, 8 people back there. It still wasn't fucking enough. Get some goddamn pressure on Jayden Daniels. Don't let him just run around and fucking have all the time in the world. Get some heat on him. Put the pressure on the offensive line to hold up. Don't let Washington and their receivers get so far down the field and have so much time to set it up. Now in context, with as bad as the coaching was today, as bad as the passing game was today, as bad as Caleb Williams was for the first 3 quarters, the Bears still almost won this one. And even losing this one, they're sitting at 4-3 in their next 2 games against the Cardinals and the Patriots. So it's not a total disaster here. But these are the types of games, these are the types of moments that remind you that it was stupid, fucking stupid to bring back Matt Eberflus. This is why. Against an even average NFL defense, your passing game was pathetic for most of the matchup. That can't happen. Here's a chance. It doesn't really matter the Caleb Williams, Jayden Daniels thing. Like, both teams can have their quarterback. Both teams can be fine about it. But, it's fun to talk about and everything. Who should have been number 1? Well, if you watch today's game, the guy with the injured ribs clearly outplayed the other one. Is that just him, or is he being put in a better situation with a better offensive mind? And the fact that I'm saying that about Cliff fucking Kingsbury tells you something about what the Bears have on their fucking sidelines. Duh! That is a play that's going to be a nominee for Play of the Year. That is a play that 20 years from now, we're going to remember and cringe thinking about it. And the ironic thing is, without a fullback dive to your backup center fumble, without the stupidity to play before where you just let him get 15 yards for nothing, the Bears still could have won this game. But even if they won it, let's be real, you wouldn't feel very good about it. You feel more lucky and fortunate and kind of dirty reveling in it. Fuck! I hate Bears football! Why is it so fucking hard to play modern 21st century football, for Christ's sakes?